Hello, this is Dr. Garrett Castleberry, Associate Professor and Program Director of Communication Media and Ethics at Mid-America Christian University. I'm here with a preview for our second speaker in this cycle of COMM4603, Creating Social Media Presence and Cultural Movements. In week one, we had an exciting foray into a multidimensional interviewee that was able to speak into directions that included marketing, sales, academia, publishing, and bring those conversations into alignment with one another. And looking forward, we're also going to continue to veer outside of those traditional understandings of what we can do with our communication emphasis or degree pursuit, I guess I should say. But for week two, we are going to take a conservative approach and examine the dimensional spaces that one could occupy in higher ed. So we're going to bring in the candidate that is a career academician, if that's the correct term. If it's not, I guess we'll redo this whole thing. Perhaps we'll not redo it, either way. But we are going to explore several different areas with this candidate, so don't worry. We're not simply talking to a quote-unquote teacher at the collegiate level, but let's get into some details and break down their credentials so that you can begin to process different approaches to how we might investigate them through our rigorous and thoughtful questions this week. All right, so our next guest in the interview series is Dr. Jeffrey Gentry, all right, or Jeff for short, as he often will suggest to people. But Dr. Gentry is currently the Dean of the College of Fine Arts, as well as a professor of communication at Eastern New Mexico University. He has served in this dean role since 2017, and so it's we're coming up on 5 years and counting. Previous to this, we'll work backwards, credentialing wise. He served as the chair of the Department of Communications, I believe 2010 to 2014 at the very least, as well as a department head in overseeing psychology, sociology, and criminal justice from 2007 to 2009, likely an interim role. Both of those roles, chair and department head at Rogers State University in Claremore, Oklahoma, right? So he's also, during that time at RSU, had administrative oversight over RSU's KRSC FM radio station, as well as the RSU Theater. And believe me, this fellow is into some old-fashioned theatricality. So let's dig deeper and continue to explore areas we might peek into with our questions about our second candidate this cycle. Prior to RSU, his tenure and time there, Dr. Gentry served at Southwestern Oklahoma State University, SWOSU, if you've seen their advertising before, where he was an instructor from 1991 to 2000, and then an assistant professor from 2000 to 2004. He received tenure in 2002. Usually accompanies with that updated title of associate professor. And prior to SWOSU, he also served some very brief stints at Ottawa University in Kansas, where he was an instructor, and Colorado State University as a lecturer. And that was kind of in that I don't want to give too many dates away, but 1988 to 1991 range at those pair of colleges in Colorado and Kansas, respectively. Well, let's get into some other arenas. All right, we've talked about, hey, dean, chair, department chair, a professor of communication, communication studies, communications, right? But let's really parcel out what some of those roles involve or include. Now, sometimes you do run across educators at the collegiate level, right, or university level in higher ed, in other words, and the primarily classroom-based practitioners. And that is a great thing. But there are other areas that we can serve and are often called to within the university system. And this is someone that has likely rose in leadership as a result of their diligent service to their respective universities, communities, and maybe even their field. So let's talk other areas of involvement over the course of Dr. Gentry's career. Jeff was a forensics coach, the director of forensics, as we call it, which, let's clarify, we're not talking about forensic science, solving crimes and the like. We're talking about the competitive world of speech and debate. And Dr. Gentry was a director of forensics from 91 to 2003. In addition to that world, he sort of oversaw a number of competitive events as well as various debate forums. Maybe we can get him to unpack some of those debate forums or types of events. I don't know. What are his specialty events that he likes to lean on? Where do his interests go? Or maybe where was the furthest he traveled for competition? Types of accolades, and why did he have that role? Is there a background to that? Can he share that? Can he share something with us? Come on, Jeff, let us know, let us in. But let's talk about some other areas where Dr. Gentry has thrived. Areas of including fundraising initiatives. Here's someone that knows how to write a letter to get a little grant, right? To find that sweet pot that can help move initiatives forward. Guess what? Grant writing, huge area of interest in higher ed. The better you can function, serve as a grant writer, the stronger a candidate you're likely to be for not just a department to occupy in a role, but for a university, for a college. Grant writing is a highly technical act. It's certainly a way to use a written communication to move people, to move money, right? Finances. So technical writing is an essential skill to being a proactive grant writer. And perhaps Jeff can pass along some advice. I don't know. You asked the question, maybe we'll get a response from him. But it doesn't stop there. I teased before, he's a man interested in theatricality. Dr. Gentry is both a theatrical playwright as well as having served in various levels of production, including maybe some special emphasis in a performative type known as readers theater. What is that? I have no idea. Let's ask Dr. Gentry. Let's peer into Jeff's background. Maybe we can uncover that. What is this? What roles have you served in community theater versus readers theater? What's the difference? Does it have a place? Does anyone want to, are people showing up still for these things? I don't know. What do these events and activities look like in a post-pandemic world? Help us out. And furthermore, I logged, looking at his professional resume, no less than 27 titles under that category of theatrical playwriting and production, miscellaneous production assistant. So here's someone that's been consistent in his involvement. Another area of consistent involvement, he's helped to organize and host and moderate public interest forums and debates. So this is a little bit of an old-fashioned activity. It's very civic-minded, but if you've ever seen those maybe on television or in in film, perhaps even in person, different events kind of hosted on a campus, and you bring in a special, public intellectual or speaker of a type, and they maybe have an open session that could include audience Q&A or be a spirited debate on a topic of the day. That's what we're talking about. So he's had his hand in at least 13 public interest forums and debates over the years. and has been invited to serve in many sort of guest lecture and workshopping formats. This is someone that tries to keep a sharp edge on their craft, but he's not also willing to do some of the regular duties, right, that anyone could. So there is a pretty exhaustive overview of different directions that we can kind of poke and pry into the academic world that Dr. Jeff Gentry has been working in throughout his career. And so you lead the way with your exceptional questions for this session. I know Jeff is excited to engage us. So let's get him to open up and share and see what that's all about. I didn't even include any of his kind of scholarly accomplishments. He's presented a number of times in a number of conferences. He's put together some different research over the years. He's presented his work internationally. What's that like? How does one go about that? Inquiring minds want to know. So here's someone breaking borders and boundaries, and we're going to reach across some borders and boundaries into the Mountain Zone time zone and across state lines. We're going to connect with Jeff from his home base at the Eastern New Mexico University campus. So be sure, get your questions in early. Let's work on that feedback loop. Can't wait to bring him in and showcase your video questions. So make sure you're doing a great job of putting all the pieces together with those top questions selected for Dr. Jeff Gentry in our guest interview series for COMM4603, Creating Social Media Presence and Cultural Movements.